Okay, this is video number 8. We're still on May 23rd, 12:40 p.m. Yorkville, Illinois. In the past, I remember, again, these are discrete points relevant generically to our subject here of this AI thing, right? But ways back, I don't know, 15 years ago or so, maybe. I used to work for this company that has um, branches in China, a manufacturing and distribution branch in China, and so on. So one day they sent a couple of engineers, and I sat down with them and I showed them a few things. I used to be a Unix engineer and so on. And they went back home right afterwards. And one day we needed to talk. Not too long afterwards, and I was sitting on, for dinner, and children and so on. And we needed to communicate. And basically, as I was eating, I picked up my Doppelgänger back then, which was usually it's a company allocated one. And I went do so and so, and they answered me. And they were probably next day in the morning at work, or they could be down to dinner as well, and so on. So not too long afterwards, I went to buy some couches, right, furniture, and and I was talking to the guy, an African American gentleman, and he turned out to be, as we're talking about, certain set of sofas and couches and so on. He turned out to be the evangelist type, and the Lord, and right, he was like a prophecy and so on. And so it hit me right there and then. I said, "Here's what happened to me." I was telling him about this. Here's what happened to me about what about the communication that took place between me and the Chinese engineer. I don't know, 15 years ago, maybe longer. I said, we needed to talk. They're in China, I'm here, and we did so and so. I narrated the whole, I mean, described the whole event in details for him. Didn't take too long. And he was listening to me. And I said, can you imagine if I did this, say, 20 or 30 years ago? What would that be considered, right? A miracle or something like that? Suddenly he looks at me, like focuses on me, focuses his attention on me, and he smiled, and then he looked down thinking, right? And I had this being spread, right, around later, That's where we are. Now, I want you to imagine for a minute there, when that AI, conscious, unconscious, sentient, evil, void of emotions and human intelligence and so on, becomes in control of your life, all facets of your life, your banking, your government, your food, your health, nature, your housing, how much you can use, when you can go to sleep, curfew, and. Folks, I never seen those rabbinical infestation help something that is not meant to harm other humans and downside them and put them back into animal farm. Never seen them do anything good for life, really. I tried, but I don't see it, right? So imagine that, right? Imagine that, right? Has this idea been around in the past? Oh, yes. Not idea, rather, than capacities or abilities or miraculous type communications and so on. Oh, yeah, yeah. Quran is full of those. Oh, you just don't know the Quran, right? Uh, the Quran. But whatever Quran tells us about, it's really for good, right? I know it myself. I mean, like I told you in one of my previous videos, I was going to revolutionize. I thought the Mormons were the set to begin with, right? I was going to revolutionize this world, like make a new world altogether. That's how confident I was, right? But then when I went there, I saw that homeless issue, and they're oblivious to it, right? And I saw And I know it's a big deal, right? It's a big problem, so they cannot take care of it themselves, but they could have done something, right? The other thing, I saw the Hebrew or Jewish backdrop in there. I just made a U-turn, right? I saw in Utah, I saw a rabbinical infestation, and I missed the names such as Oren or Lehi, or eventually I learned what these are. Not me now. I will keep my humanity. Thank you. It takes human intelligence to develop higher intelligence. Uh, and that's a good thing, right? It takes human brain to develop higher intelligence, right? That may be a good thing. I do not know whether AI, and I told you I know AI. It may it may use its capacity or level of limits of its intelligence, no matter how small these limits are, but it'll span out and expand horizontally, maybe not vertically. We only human are, well, not just us, right? There are higher life, right? There are higher world, and that's the world that made us, right? Uh, that's what who I worship, Allah, right? And the angels, and I don't worship anybody else but Allah, right? And Prophet Muhammad and the Quran, and Sunni Islam, right? Talks about all that, right? So it takes human intelligence to develop within our realm, within our this realm that we live in, right? Right? To develop higher intelligence, right? And to develop intelligence, artificial to even do things, but will artificial intelligence go higher in logic and so on? It will not, but it has the capacity to automate, right? So that's why it is like imagine it like some kind of a psychotic person, like what's his name, Michael Meyer in the movie Halloween. I mean, that guy just doesn't think, right? That's why they dress him up with a hockey mask or ice skating mask. They have that mask on him. That's what artificial intelligence is. Human higher intelligence, that artificial intelligence will never develop, right? And that's where the problem is. This is like similar to, if you will, I told you about the artificial intelligence being virtual communism and being developed as virtual communism, right? Well, I mean, the analogy is very simple. Imagine those guards in the gulags and dungeons of Siberia. They're basically under communism, under that Bolsheviks, rabbinical infestation. And if you read their stories, and gulags and so on, it's disturbing how mechanical these guards of dungeons, and how they torture, and how they have no humanity in them and so on. That's what AI is. Those rabbinical infestation hope to achieve with artificial intelligence, just like they achieved through reprogrammed humans, right? And demented humans in Siberia and Syria and here and there in Iraq and Egypt and in South America and so on. Yes, and that's my next point, which is relevant to this. Some people uh, are programmed and brainwashed. They become artificial intelligence, and they're always, often more than not, they are trained and developed by these evil beings, right? The infestation, to become harmful, right? And serve and die in servitude and so on. Nothing more, really, nothing less. They have no freedom for themselves. They have no ability to disobey, to disobey, and they're always, like, unlike what I believe in, what I know, we're always looking out for the human family and the human intelligence and the happy life and faithful and ethics and so on and so forth. No, 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 no. Those that are developed by that infestation in Russia and in China and in South America and in the Middle East and here and there and Europe as well, right? To a lesser degree, in like, for example, You get those uh, SS, right, in that Ashke Nazi movement, right? The sister of Bolshevik infestation, right? And but Europe, Western Europe, escaped some of that, and so did the United States and uh, uh, New Zealand, Canada, uh, and Australia, and so on, right? Those Anglo-Saxons, right? But now 100% they have this total bigotry about the other, right? Although among themselves they're doing a little bit better than what the Soviets, the people under communism did, but they still have problems, and they have worked in countries like Iraq and here and there, and Vietnam. Oh, that was troublesome. Oh, that was troublesome. So yeah, humans can be consciously and unconsciously programmed to function like AI. Let's put it this way. And now those they are machines, right? They are made into machines and data centers. Imagine them like those data centers, like devils, right? Like caves, right, with devils that come out of them like bats, right? You know how bats in the evening fly out like clouds, right? Those vampire bats. So it programs them, right? AI will be able, in my opinion, be able to. That's being talked about, like usage with your doppelgangers and so on. Will be able to program uh, humans to dement them, blank their psyche, and use them to collect information, right? And then do its work, right? Oh yeah, they can do that. Oh yeah. Human brain is very diverse. We start with blank slate, right? But we all have the capacity to learn and a lot and morph and change into better things, or worse, right? Worse, right? It could happen either way. So AI, that's a discrete point here, an independent point. AI will decide what store to go to, what movie to go watch, possibly change the movie based on your profile, news, and subliminal commands and so on. So yeah, AI will meddle with that, and you become subject of unwilling subject, right? You will be in the gulags in Siberia, but not exactly virtually, not in uh, uh, materially, but virtually, right? Even though you're sitting in your apartment, driving, walking about and so on, but you're really in a gulag in Siberia. You've been told what to do and so on and so forth, while you're not even sensing it sometimes. Some of it becomes so overwhelming that you're not able to object anymore. So if you don't want to die from hunger, so you finally say you accept the car taking you to this store or not. Maybe they will force you. Maybe now they will send you the food, right? Like those drones that are doing delivery. Suddenly, you get the drone that drops things in front of your house and things like that. How about that for fiction and reality, right? I mean, I am onto something here writing this particular fiction. All rights reserved, by the way. Currently, the effective president is really Musk Mobile, Elon Musk. Trump is his sidekick. Well, he's making money, executing Netanyahu's orders. So whatever you saw, I did actually raise this possibility, and this fact actually weighs on during the election, right after Trump came back into the White House and began to spread, right? But eventually they put up that act, that farce about them disagreeing and firing from Doge or something like that. That's just a farce, folks. We saw that in China. It was Elon Musk who was selling parts of China. Musk was selling parts of United States to China and whatever, right? And they are agreeing about troops to go to Russia and there's like deeper thing in there. Of course, it's a matter of money. Elon Musk, and he's hiring, from what I heard. I heard this, I don't know if it's true or not, that they're bringing hundreds of thousands of Chinese resources and engineers to go to universities here. I say to control AI, really. That's all. He has more loyalty toward the East, him being this and that. like Netanyahu than anything white or Arab or Jewish or Muslim or anything else. I mean, this guy just cares for that and that's it, right? Take my advice. If he says you're not gonna have to work 20 years from now or even less, he's not the one to give you universal basic income. You look at somebody and how he deals with his own offspring, and you know how he's gonna treat you, right? So, so I think that's why Elon Musk forged the election. Like distorted the results of the election and computers and whatnot, right? Because he wanted to sell Taiwan, right? Now, he wanted to sell Taiwan. Give me a second. Right, so now Biden actually, like I mentioned earlier in the previous video or the video before, that Biden built a lot of leverage against in the Pacific in general, right? Whether it's for his allies like New Zealand and Japan and Australia and other places against China and North Korea. I mean, he really put things in perspective there. But then he guaranteed that Taiwan not to be attacked. He guaranteed that Taiwan maintains its independence. And you know what? I'm going to tell you this. I have a lot of doubts that China will be able to take over Taiwan. I don't think they will, right? But that's a different subject, right? So now Musk saw that this Taiwan maybe is a... So he sold it to China, but then the United States lost the sale of $16 billion of weapons to Taiwan. Think about that for a minute. These guys don't care, folks. Those bunch, the 10%, I call them sometimes, they may be more. That infestation, Netanyahu infestation, they don't care, folks. They're out to destroy you, and that's all. And when the train moves on, watch that movie about that ship or submarine or something that goes to China, and there is a fight, and the Russian guy with the billionaire eventually unable to ride, and things of the sort, folks. Believe it or not, they're thinking that long time ago. So United States loses $16 billion in arms sales to Taiwan, and China pays whatever billions, maybe 16, I don't know, maybe. And again, I'm not sure of that, right? To rickshaw mobile, right? Musk. Right? So your personality gets built into AI, right? Doesn't even go to sleep. That AI doesn't even go to sleep, right? So banks and AI, points again, banks and AI, virtualized deep in the confines and recesses of AI. Education and AI, and iRobot, that movie and AI, right? So misleading, folks. They reverse the concept altogether. And how they think of you as a robot, right? Us, I mean us goyim, right? Libraries and AI, right? So you work in a library, AI can do a lot of what you do, right? Government and AI, right? So you will read newspapers on the beach, right? What if you don't have a beach? Where do you read your newspaper? Because you don't have to work anymore, right? You will be eating grass because nobody is going to pay you that basic income or whatever it is. So there's no conscious. Hollywood and AI? Have you ever guys thought about what's going to happen to you, you actors, you actors, you. So Tesla is a liar. Big time liar. He is the liar, right? You think you have it made. You took a ride on that train or that wagon, right? Remember in that movie, Beyond Thunderdome, when those kids supposedly get on the train and stuff like that, and they steal the Arabs' uh, silver things, silverware, and they start learning his language. Well, it's French, right? Not French or Arabic. Oh no, no. You have it all wrong, folks. Somebody saw in you a very good tool, a efficient tool, and introvert society and so on, and they are going to do a job. They're using you already, right? AI is 100% rabbinical infestation. I don't see anyone outside of that particular class that has anything to do with AI. Period. Blockchain and virtual everything, right? Blockchain. You know what blockchain is? Banks and blockchain. Blockchain is the foundation for, and those data centers will not be discrete, will not be independent of each other, right? They will share knowledge. How do they do that? Under the blockchain, so when you have a blockchain, when you have a cryptocurrency and you go anywhere you want to use it, how do they know, right? So it's similar to banks. You know how banks, when you go use your debit card, right? And I want to withdraw money from a different bank. And how does the bank know how much you have, how much blah, blah? They have what's called bilateral agreement. They have a link, right? Private link, encrypted and all. And they go like request your balance and so on, and they charge you $3 and whatnot, right? And they dispense cash to you. This becomes very complex. Something called blockchain. Blockchain is an underlying technology. So all these Bitcoin, B-U-T-T coin, shitcoin technologies and whatnot, right? And other information entities as well, right? So they share the underlying, like similar to water services in the city or sewers or something like that. You don't see them, but they're all interconnected, right? Nobody has their own water well and pump and so on. No. They're all interconnected. So that's what blockchain is. Blockchain is like a network, right? It's like a net underground, carries all these. That's why how organizations talk to each other and know each other. That's why those artificial intelligence data centers, if they don't have a piece of information and they want to learn it or just serve it, they may contact another AI data center, and that data center give them that. But these are open. It's not like a bank to bank, right? Bilateral agreement, or even if it's not bilateral agreement, there may be a central join managed by a certain entity that acts like a proxy on behalf of different banks. No, this is all open, right, on each other, right? So that they will maintain a consistent view of accounts of information base. Let's put it this way. So that's problematic. That's what blockchain is, folks. Blockchain is not good. If you have to be digital, then it's necessary, right? But it's not necessary that it becomes a highway or a medium of surveillance and control and so on and so forth. It's pretty bad, folks. So, they keep telling you about how genius was Nikola Tesla. One day I knew this person like in the early 80s, and I haven't seen them since. So I came across one of their posts one day, like somehow, I don't know, like 45 years. But I don't know, 10, 20 years ago, I came across their posting, right? And she called Tesla, T-S-L-E-R. It's not Tesla. It's Tesla, T-S-T-A-S-L-A, Tesla. They say he's genius and stuff, that he invented, he had like inventions and ideas that are beyond their age, and they were suppressed and covered up and so on. No, folks, I'll give you one of them myself. I'll tell you about one of them myself. He thought about transmitting power via wireless instead of having to extend wires and so on. So you get like towers here and there, and then you absorb power by way, they broadcast this heavy EMF, right? And then you can extract that EMF and light up your bulbs and computer and so on. It's like providing power into your house, electricity to your house via wireless. Now imagine that. what did I tell you? I mean, it just hit me not too long ago, right? He wanted to do that, and he demonstrated that. There was a demonstration, I think, in New Jersey somewhere or something. He built a tower, and then, sure enough, he began to light up houses and their appliances and so on. Who would want to live in a magnetic, electromagnetic field like that? I mean, you got to be sick, right? No, you'll be sick in no time at all. I mean, so they declined it, right, back then. So that actually beefs up and reinforces my uh, my declaration and about data centers power being problem, health problem, right? Go take a look at that. All right, 25 minutes. The entire business and affair of AI, artificial intelligence, is rabbinical infestation. Imagine your bank, whether you're an employee of a bank or a customer or a client or whoever it is, your bank being totally absorbed into the confines and pushed into the recesses and confines of artificial intelligence. Just imagine that. Try to imagine that, and imagine the digital economy and digital currency and digital ID and registrations and you name it, government affairs and so on. But the banks, those who are in the banks, I guarantee you, at one point, you will not be able to control your own transactions. Those guys that are rabbinical infestation, they are trying to present or cover up that ominous technology that's really problem technology, and covering it up with benevolence and importance to life, and I would liken them to Vito Corleone, right? In the mafia movie, The Godfather. He and his cohorts, right, and underworld, right, that operates in that city, being olive oil traders. Olive oil is good for you if it's good, right? The good type, not the pomace and stuff like that. It's got a lot of omega-3. So those rabbinical infestations, they are olive oil traders, right? So I mentioned, okay, these are discrete points, independent points. I mentioned to you about not needing any degree anymore, education part, right? Right? But eventually there will be loss of intelligence because we have to deal with things, right? Complex affairs and designs and processes and thoughts and so on is how we maintain our intelligence and development, right? And rise in our intelligence, like our brains become useful. So if you don't use that for say 1,000 years, right? Your brain, you're gonna turn into a new species of monkey. Called the investors. This new species of monkey called investors. There's like bonobo, there's macaque, there's chimpanzee, gorilla, and there's the investors. I myself, I'm a goyim. I'm doing better than going that route. So, folks, consciousness is going to be lost, right? And consciousness, our consciousness is related to our knowledge as well, right? We always, back in history, the same infestation caused us to crash and go down and lose our intelligence and learning and so on. And then here and there, Allah sends someone to raise us up. And that's when they get upset, right? There are frequencies that makes you forget. They influence your head, right? Oh, yes. That influences your thinking and they exacerbate your situation and pain and so on and so forth. Eventually, if someone is always in distress and pain and melancholy and so on, they begin to stop thinking and producing new things or thinking about higher intelligence and so on and so forth. So by Allah, this is true, right? All right, so you know what? That's 30 minutes, so that's number 8, right?